Hey everyone, welcome back. Now, before I dive deep into today's episode, which I'm super excited about, I just want to make sure that you're aware that if you go to www.oscarmgarcia.com/powerpack, you'll actually get a mini masterclass that dives deep into this issue. So if you haven't done so before, go ahead, do it now. So that way you can use that as supplementary to today's episode. Now, let's get back to the lecture at hand, right? Let's talk about profitable paid traffic funnels. Now, funnels and paid traffic, right? Both of them are needed in order to create a business that's going to fuel the lifestyle that you want. The issue is that it seems like either whenever you're trying to create an offer, you have no idea what that offer should be. And let's say you even have an offer, you're not even sure how to set up your ads. And when you do, they don't end up generating any return on investment, right? You're donating more to that Zuckerberg fund, and we don't want to do that. And if you continue down that path, right, ultimately you're going to start feeling like Facebook is never going to work for me, Google Ads is never going to work for me, advertising in general is not going to work for me, and then you're going to really struggle to generate any kind of traction because you're going to be overwhelmed with content marketing and some other kind of, more organic strategies, which, to be honest, are great for longevity, but if you're trying to generate a return as quickly as possible, you're probably going to burn out way before that happens, right? And believe me, when I first started, my first funnel was only converting at 5%. We were running ads on Facebook. I generated one sale for $19 back. I believe it was May 17th of 2015 to the gentleman named Steve. Thank you, Steve. He was my first customer. And then 2 months later, I didn't generate a sale whatsoever, even though we were still spending all this money on ads, right? And it wasn't until, the best way I can put it is that having a profitable sales funnel that's being fueled by paid traffic, it's a science. It doesn't have to do anything with luck, right? It has to do with just science, with meticulously tweaking certain things throughout your sales funnel until you get the return that you're looking for. And that's exactly what we did. I remember my first landing page was only converting between 3 to 5%. And then we decided to just keep serving and keep tweaking. And in all, I believe I made close to 90 different variations of the landing page before I got something that generated a 30% conversion rate on that landing page. And eventually we got it up to about 75-80% conversion, right? And it was all just a matter of tweaking, of experimenting on different headlines, right? Different formats, different layouts, different calls to action until you find that sweet spot. Now, today, when it comes to, paid traffic and sales funnels, right, we're always at the mercy, essentially, of the paid traffic algorithms and the engines and, the mediums that essentially require us to use them, right? Like Facebook and Google, etc. So what I want to talk about is more so strategy and focus less on the tool. I don't care about Facebook ads. I don't care about Google ads or YouTube ads. I care more about the overall strategy. Okay. And so when it comes to building a profitable sales funnel for your business that's fueled by paid traffic, there's really three main things that you need to keep in mind. And number one is, do you have a sales funnel that is optimized, right? That is ready to essentially increase your average order value. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But do you have a sales funnel in place? Meaning, do you have an offer that is a complete no-brainer? Do you have an order bump? Do you have an upsell? Do you have these things in place already? Because the thing is that, look, you're spending money on paid traffic, and ideally you want to generate a return. And in my opinion, you want to do that as quickly as possible. And I'm not saying, build out a sales funnel with 100 different offers in it. No, not necessarily. In reality, you only really need 3, in my opinion. You need a low entry offer, you need an order bump, and you need an upsell. And with those 3 simple mechanisms, you can build a sales funnel that'll get you the lifestyle that you want. My first client, when we were building out, we built out a simple sales funnel that just had an entry-level offer for $27. The upsell was $147. And with those 2 offers, we were able to run ads, and we were producing $70,000 a month just off that basic funnel, Okay, so it doesn't take a lot of steps, and in reality, you don't want to sell way too much right in the beginning, because then you start putting off that customer, right? You want to present your funnel in a series of steps that overall provide tremendous value to your customer. It's less about, sure, it is about sales, right? We're in business, we're talking about sales, but it's more so about building a relationship and making sure that the funnel you have in place is structured in a way where every additional offer is just going to accelerate the results and going to add value and ultimately provide them that transformation, right? They have a pain. And so your sales funnel should provide the transformation between the pain to the pleasure. Okay, but you want to make sure you have at least those three main elements, which is have a low entry offer. So low entry offer can be anything from $7 to, in my opinion, $37, right? Maybe even $47, but something low enough where it's easy for people to say, you know what, I can go ahead and manage that, right? It's not too big of an ask, right? But at the same time, you're also, attracting buyers, and you're able to offset the cost of ads. Okay, because let's say it costs you $22 to generate a customer, then you need to be able to recoup that, right? And you need the sales funnel, the numbers, to at least make sense. And if you have a low entry offer, an order bump, and an upsell, you're going to be able to do that at a much easier fashion. Okay, now let's say you're doing lead generation. Well, then there's an extra step there, right? You have lead generation, then you have a low entry offer with the order bump and then an upsell. Okay, but either way, that formula works whether you're a coach, you're selling fitness, you want to sell an online course, etc., etc. If you can figure out one specific pain point within your market and then devise a funnel that has at least one low entry offer, an order bump, and an upsell, right? And of course, as long as everything is fine-tuned to the market's needs, right, to the market's wants and their desires, and they can see that this is the solution that they need to solve that problem, your funnel is going to work, and it's going to make those paid ads pay for themselves. Now, breaking it down, right? We just talked about profitability. Now let's talk about paid, right? So, paid ads, right? There's many different places where you can place your advertisements. Google, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Spotify. It's everywhere, okay? Direct mail pieces. In my opinion, really, everything is an advertisement nowadays, even organic. Like, let's say you just do blogging. That in and of itself is a paid ad because you're paying with your time. But nonetheless, the most important thing that you need to take away from this podcast is, are you advertising in the right places? Just because there's a billion people on Facebook doesn't mean that your market is on Facebook. Okay, same thing. Other markets are more prone to searching on Google. So therefore, it might make sense to have some kind of paid search campaign within Google. Other markets, they love consuming videos, right? So YouTube might be the best place to go about it. Other times, podcasts, right? So iTunes, Spotify, maybe placing an ad, maybe even going after influencers, right? You want to figure out where your market is and then place those ads directly because you're spending money, right? So you don't necessarily want to just put money, sit back, relax, and see if this algorithm kind of fixes itself. You want to do as much work as you can on the front end to figure out where your market is, and then decide this is the right place where I should advertise, and then let the algorithm do its job, right? And it'll find you the right people as long as you picked the right advertising location. Okay, and then last but not least, you need to make sure that your metrics, that you understand your metrics, I should say. You need to understand your key performance indicators, meaning that it's, like I said before, it's a science. Okay, so what needs to happen is you need to, draw an outline of your funnel step by step, and then assume conversion rates, especially if you're just starting out. If you've already been in business, you should be able to look at what offers convert at what rate, and you simply plug those numbers in and you take a look. Okay, well, if I send 100 people to this funnel, what is the end result going to be? How many people can I expect to opt in? How many of those opt-ins can I expect to buy the intro? Out of those that decide to buy, how many are going to upgrade to the order bump? And out of those that buy that intro offer, how many are going to take the upsell? Okay, and as long as that average order value between your low entry offer, your order bump, and your upsell is greater than the cost to acquire a customer, you're good, right? So again, let's say you're running ads and your average order value is $97, right? that means you can spend up to $96 to acquire a customer and you'll be making profit on your funnel, right? But it is a science and you have to lay this out. And this is probably the number one step I see many entrepreneurs kind of forget about, is that they build out their funnels, but they don't actually work the math to determine how many users need to go to their funnel in order for them to determine whether their sales funnel is a success or not. You need to look at the numbers and you need to tweak the copy, the layout, etc., to improve those conversion rates, right? If you set out and you already have your KPI in mind and you run ads, you can determine whether that campaign has failed or if it's succeeding because you understand your key performance indicators. And from there, you can then pivot, you can modify, you can even scale, okay? But when it comes to building a profitable paid traffic strategy that sends paid ads to a funnel profitably, you definitely need to make sure you have at least an entry-level offer, an order bump, and an upsell. Okay, you need to make sure you're placing your ads in the right places, and last but not least, know your numbers. All right, everybody, thanks so much for listening to today's episode. I'll go ahead and see you on the next one.